ago in March 2008. Since then, fully 1/3 of Hill's men had been wounded in action. Suicide bombers had hit a 4th Platoon gun truck just a few days before. Mercifully, the bomb failed to detonate on impact. Dog Company had suffered no fatalities yet, but Hill's vehicles were in shambles, repair parts, ammo, and batteries were in short supply, and the number of replacement soldiers he'd received from battalion was exactly 0. Hill's heavy weapons platoons, 1st through 4th, just over 60 men, were now spread across 4 static outposts. His platoon sergeants, veterans with multiple combat tours and more than 15 years' service each, said they had never seen a company stretched so thin. Now, in the sync meeting, Kay, the platoon leaders and platoon sergeants, weighed in on a series of briefing items: intel updates, upcoming missions, personnel status, base security, and progress in developing the provincial government. Logistical issues such as vehicle readiness, weapons, fuel, ammo, food, and water were also covered. Hill, 30, a West Point grad with a degree in environmental engineering, was an organized man. At the beginning of the Wardak deployment, he'd run each of these daily meetings personally, using a printed, bullet-point agenda. But as his men learned what was expected, Hill had let Kay take over as master of ceremonies while he listened and jotted notes. Near the end of the meeting, Kay brought up the Syedabad supply snafu, winding up with, "Lopez and his guys are black on food and water." "Battalion didn't bring food and water? What the hell?" said Lieutenant Donnie Carwile, 3rd's platoon leader. Formerly enlisted, Carwile, 29, had put himself through college while working as a policeman in Oxford, Mississippi, then returned to the Army as an officer. Similar incredulous curses sizzled around the conference table like sparks on a fuse. Hill glanced up at his mission board. He tried to keep it meticulously current, but with the spiraling operational tempo, it stayed stubbornly out of date. He was glad it was dry erase. "We're about 2 weeks past due for some vehicle and equipment checks at Syedabad," Hill said. "If we have to go down there with food and water, we may as well knock those out too." He tapped 3rd Platoon for the job. 15 August 2008, 0600 hours. The next morning dawned a scorcher, and Sergeant First Class Sean Haskins cursed the heat. It would be 110 degrees in full kit by lunch. Haskins, 36, a wily 260-pound bruiser out of Mattawa, Washington, was platoon sergeant for Dog Company's 3rd Platoon. He marshaled his men and checked his Humvees. Haskins would ride in the lead truck, call sign 3-1, with Specialist Joel Ochoa in the gun turret. The call signs for Humvees in a heavy weapons platoon begin with the platoon number. The second number varies according to mission and personnel. Also in 3-1, Khan, a young Afghan interpreter who reminded Haskins of a college kid from the 80s, all polo shirts and skinny jeans. Once, when he was a boy, the Taliban caught Khan listening to infidel tunes and sentenced him to walk his village wearing a sign around his neck that proclaimed his shame. Haskins' best friend and platoon leader, Lieutenant Donnie Carwile, would ride in 3-2, second in the order of movement, with Specialist Paul Conlon as gunner and Specialist Joseph Coe driving. Back in June, Conlon, 21, of Mashpee, Massachusetts, had taken heavy shrapnel wounds during a vicious firefight. This trip to Syedabad was his first chance to get back into the field with his platoon brothers, and he was pumped. Coe, 24, and Sergeant Todd Parsons, a forward observer, were sitting in 3-2, engine running, when an officer they'd never met approached. "Hey, I'm Captain Lemaire, Alpha Company. I'm going to be riding with you guys." "Okay, sir," Coe said. "Hop in." At noon, the patrol rolled out. 4 Humvees rumbled through the fob gate, the lead truck towing a trailer stacked with cartons of food and bottled water for the guys at Syedabad. In 3-2, Carwile rode TC, or Truck Commander, sitting in the front passenger seat with an ever-present wad of dip in his lip. "Hey, anybody got a spit bottle?" "Hold on a second," Coe said. Driving with his left hand, he whirled the cap off a bottle of cool blue Gatorade.